Hello. Well, the light's not ideal. I'm not quite sure if we can. That's better, isn't it? That's loads better, yeah. And it's not blinding me quite in the same way. So I'm actually not quite sure what I'm going to talk about. Um, I know it's like why she put the camera on and she's not sure what she's going to talk about. I was actually looking through old notes and stuff I've written, but you've got this beautiful notepad here. Yellow brick road, right? And then you've got this scrap of paper here. I wrote this ages ago. It's my top 5 tips to start a deprogramming process with. I think we're going to do this, okay? Totally like unplanned. Well, it was planned about 2 months ago, and it got left on this envelope. Look, there's writing all over it. So let's see what we can make of it. So I put for number 1. Recognize that programmed people are surrounded by fellow programmees and programmers, from family to friends. So actually point 1 being that if you have been, everyone's been mind controlled and brainwashed to varying degrees on the planet. Nobody, unless they're like this extreme minority who are born to families. Like if I had a kid now, the kid wouldn't be programmed like I was, you know. But at the same time, if I'm still being accessed in altars, I can't guarantee that. And so really for children to not be getting programmed at all, they need to be being born in the middle of nowhere with no TVs, and no, you know, in families which are in touch and know what's really going on. However, for most of us, everyone's being brainwashed and programmed to a degree. If you're in high level, if you're in generational bloodline family, you are going to be being high level brainwashed, mind controlled. It's impossible not to be. You know, your tiny little babies, it starts from preconception, the planning of the birth, getting the dates right, everything's planned to the micro details. And so people think that brainwashed or mind controlled people must be weak. And the reality is that no child is ever going to not end up really, really controlled when they know nothing, when even the preconception was so planned. It's just not possible, you know. Children could fight and oppose things, but they don't really understand what they're fighting and opposing. They just know that something's not right and you can fight back. But, you know, at the end of the day, the main programming gets put right into place from the second that we're born. Even before then, like I say, like you can traumatize babies in the womb easily. It's not hard for a doctor to do such a thing. Not even for the mother, because if the mother's going through stress and pain and trauma herself, of course the baby feels it. You know, you're sharing the same system to live off. You know, mother and child are one, aren't they, for 9 months? All right, let's go to pointing. Learn how to acknowledge and see the roles they play, and we do too, in co-conscious life are all the clues. Now this refers back to point 1, and knowing we're surrounded by programmed people and our family members are programmed. And so basically, I mean, by acknowledging and seeing that this is a major thing for deprogramming, you know, by acknowledging and seeing what roles we play to them and they're playing to us. For example, my mother was used to program me in certain ways. I was also used to reinforce her programming in her too. And it was never just quite as simple as her being used to program me. Okay, you're a child, you don't know what you're doing. But even at 5 years old, my grandparents had me reinforcing in my mother the programming for her to think she's thick. Well, my mother's a really intelligent woman. Now, I don't know to this day if she knows that that was just my programming I was carrying out or not. But I do know that she feels, as a part, so many parts of her, it's easier for her to think that I hate her when nothing could be more from the truth. I have spent her whole life loving my mother I don't like a lot of things she does, but all I wanted to do was like pull her free with me and get her away from the scenario she's in, so she could like start to learn to love herself for her, you know. But I couldn't because she wouldn't come. So, and then she was like trying to kill me and stuff. So it had to be as it is for now. Things don't stay as they always are right now. Wish my hair would stay away from my. I don't want it covering my eye. Anyhow, listen to my voice. Number 3. Realise the importance. Sorry, I don't want to be crinkling it over the speakers. I'll start again. Realise the importance of stepping away from all programmed, placed people in our lives, and only have people close whom are working on healing and godly placed, like, not setups. So this basically is quite well explained just in how I've written it. So you recognise the relationships in your life and you work out if they're healthy or unhealthy relationships. So, for example, like with my mother, a really unhealthy relationship. Awful to have to be like, you need to get some help or we can't see one another anymore. But when someone's like making you feel like you want to throw yourself off a cliff and you've never had any kind of suicide issues ever, and you still wouldn't, but to have that devastating effect, you know, you reach a point in time where it's like, I can't have this person in my life anymore. She's not ever going to change because it's too detrimental to my own health. And so really that's what I mean. And she's not the only one that had to go. There was a few, well, three major people that had always been in my life. From her to a couple of others who'd always been in my adult life. And it's hard to have to say, I'm sorry, you know, we can't talk anymore. It's unhealthy, it's toxic. You know, people being used to handle you. It's kind of like a one-way thing on one hand, but then there's other little ways which it's always a two-way thing. But it's kind of like, think about a husband and wife, and they've been together forever, and they know each other inside out. But the wife has annoying habits which the husband reinforces. But the husband also has annoying habits that the wife reinforces. And so they're kind of both doing it to each other. That's kind of like a dualistic handler kind of scenario, which develops over years. But then you have the start of the relationship where you'll have one quite clear handler and one quite clear person being handled. It's just as time goes by and the people blend more together, it's like harder to be able to say, oh, well, it isn't, but it kind of becomes normalised, so it's not so obvious that, you know. Anyhow, let's go on to number 4, so we don't be over time-wise. Understanding that deprogramming is healing ourselves, and all we need to do lays within us and not in the people placed out in a controlled and so-called truth movement. Mass distractions do not help us. Can't read on my writing, that's what I put. God leads us back. All we need to do is ask. And baby steps actually are giant leaps when you look back. Even if I just look back to where I was a month ago, as opposed to where I am now, I'm like, oh my God. Well, do you know what? It's more accurate if I was to say in the summertime. No, I can say that about now too. You know, always when you're going through intense healing times and it's really tough, these baby steps, which feel excruciatingly slow at the time that we're doing them, we look back and we're like, wow, they were giant leaps. And we didn't even realize it at the time. You know, it's amazing. And like once we do make the painful, it's so painful. When I had to go through that with my mother and the other 2 people in my life, I was just numb. I wasn't feeling that much. I was feeling it all right up until the choices were made and they all chose. Because I didn't really choose to walk. I gave them choices. Like one of them I wanted to ask a couple of questions to. Nah, she wouldn't. And you know, a lot of stuff happened with her. And the other one was my ex, who's up in Crown Court for rape charges. And I did make the choice there. I was like, look, I can't talk to you. This is ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I made that choice. But with my mother, again, I didn't ask her to leave. I asked her to first have a healthy relationship, or if you could have a healthy one, it's not for any of us to have one at all. So they all actually, well, most of them chose to leave, but it's also important to be able to take your power back and choose to leave too yourself. And I just had enough of like the lies and all this like dark stuff, which we were all trauma bonded. All of us were trauma bonded. And that's not really a good basis for a relationship, is it? When it's one thing to find friends that have had similar traumas, but not to be trauma bonded yourself, but to emphasize and understand because we've both been there. It's an entirely different thing to have a network of friends in your life who you're trauma bonded with, literally, Alright, let's go on to the last one then. Oh yeah, and also, like, deprogramming is healing. That's the thing. Deprogramming is healing. So for the fifth one, the last one, I put, understand the spiritual abuse and programs want nobody with Jesus Christ, because he is the way out for us all. So naturally we are not programmed to truly love or want Jesus. Freedom is healing the lies in the truth of Jesus Christ over the lies that we've been taught and told our whole lives long. And so when I talk Jesus to people, I'm talking Jesus in its truth and purity. I'm not talking, I know I've said this a few times, but I always feel the need to like just emphasize it's so different. Jesus in its truth and purity is not the often corrupt Christian church version. There's so much beauty and truth in the Bible, but it's so often misconstrued and misunderstood. And that makes it dangerous, very dangerous book, because unless we're reading it with literally with the guidance and love of God, then we can't understand the context correctly. Which is why I always emphasize having a relationship with Christ first and foremost. Understand and know Christ as in his truth and purity, and then read the Bible, because you can't really understand the Bible without the guidance and love of God through Christ. So those are my top 5 most important things to be able to start deprogramming properly, specifically from high level mind control. That's really what those top 5 were aimed at, because I was looking at my own life and experiences and lineage and understanding that. So really, yes, that's what this video is aimed at. So thank you, Father, for letting me say it. And also, thank you, Nina, for about 2 months ago writing on this envelope a scrappy 5 things, which I kept and have now done on video. So thanks for watching. Take care. Oh yeah, it's the 10th of the 12th, Thursday at 16:30, 4:30 p.m. So thanks for watching. Bye now, everyone. Bye.